We begin today's wrestling news and rumors video with some major news regarding Liv Morgan coming out of last night's edition of Monday Night Raw. As most of you are likely aware, last night on Raw, Liv Morgan shocked wrestling fans when she won the fatal 5-way match against Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Zelina Vega, and Carmella, to earn herself a future Raw Women's Championship opportunity against the current champion Becky Lynch. By all means, this was an incredibly awesome moment for Liv Morgan, and it definitely coincides with the recent rumors and reports that Vince McMahon is serious about giving Liv Morgan a push in the women's division on Monday Night Raw. And after Liv's big win last night on Raw, her fans were super excited and already making plans for Liv Morgan as the Raw Women's Champion. Without question, despite not being given too many opportunities in the past, Liv Morgan has established herself as one of the most popular women's division stars in the WWE today, and it is definitely well deserved for Liv Morgan to be rewarded with a future championship match against Becky Lynch, which promises to be a very interesting storyline once we get past the upcoming 2021 Survivor Series pay-per-view event later this month, which will see the Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch face off against the SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair at the pay-per-view. However, like we had briefly mentioned before, while Vince is still very keen on the idea of Liv Morgan getting pushed into a more prominent spot in Raw's women's division, partly due to Liv's immense popularity among fans, as of right now, it is still apparently likely that Becky Lynch will be retaining her Raw Women's Championship against Liv Morgan when they do face off against each other, and a new backstage rumor has revealed that Vince McMahon is apparently testing the waters, so to speak, when it comes to Liv Morgan being pushed into Raw Women's title contention, and McMahon will allegedly be assessing how Liv Morgan performs during this big push that began last night on Raw, to see if Liv Morgan is able to hang at the top of the women's division. So while Liv Morgan likely will not be winning the championship from Becky Lynch, this is still an absolutely huge opportunity for Liv Morgan to go out there and prove that she is capable of handling that main event spotlight. Because if Vince feels Liv Morgan does well with this push, he will reportedly be inclined to give Liv Morgan a Raw Women's title reign sometime next year in 2022, likely after WrestleMania 38, although it could be sooner if one shocking rumor proves to be true, which we will discuss shortly. With that being said, while this push for Liv Morgan is reportedly more of a test to see how Liv performs in the top storyline in the women's division on Raw, do you think WWE should really give Liv Morgan a huge push right now that sees her win that Raw Women's Championship from Becky Lynch? Or do you feel that having Liv Morgan come up short against Becky Lynch but still gain that top level experience is the better idea, and that it would not be a good idea to rush Liv Morgan to the Raw Women's title? Also, do you feel like Liv Morgan is ready for a push into title contention and that she's performing at a high enough level in the ring? Or is she still needing a bit more experience before really being given a major push? Sound off in the comment section below. Now we should also mention that one possible scenario that WWE are reportedly considering is for Liv Morgan to lose her Raw Women's title match against Becky Lynch later this year, but go on to win the 2022 Women's Royal Rumble match, leading to yet another title opportunity at WrestleMania 38, with WWE treating Liv Morgan sort of like Daniel Bryan as the ultimate underdog character. And if that's true, 2022 is going to be an absolutely huge year for Liv Morgan and her fans. While Dean Ambrose, aka Jon Moxley, has found great success and a lot more creative freedom in AEW All Elite Wrestling, a lot of fans are still hoping that one day Dean Ambrose decides to leave AEW and make a shocking return to WWE, to either wrestle as a singles competitor on Raw or SmackDown, or to perhaps be included in a Shield reunion with Seth Rollins and the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. However, for the immediate future, Jon Moxley, aka Dean Ambrose, won't be doing anything wrestling related, because as many of you are likely aware, Moxley is seeking help right now for a personal issue he has been dealing with, and has been taken off of television in AEW. Now with that being said, once Jon Moxley has defeated this personal demon and returns to wrestling, while Jon will definitely be wrestling a bit longer in All Elite Wrestling, a WWE return is not totally out of the question. Although things would have to line up quite perfectly for Dean Ambrose to really consider coming back to work for Vince McMahon and WWE. For those of you unaware, in Jon Moxley's book titled Mox, Dean Ambrose revealed the two conditions he has for a possible return to WWE and another appearance at WrestleMania. Here's Dean's message: "I'll probably never perform at WrestleMania itself again. If I did, you would know I got paid an absolutely astronomical amount of money and been granted unprecedented creative control. There's really no need to. Now these conditions that Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley has for a potential WWE return are not that surprising, considering firstly Ambrose has stated in recent interviews that WWE is always a viable option due to the money and that the WWE is really where the big bucks are made. And secondly, the lack of creative freedom or control was a major reason as to why Dean Ambrose left WWE in the first place. And if he was granted creative freedom and also given a ton of money, a WWE return is still very much possible for Jon Moxley in the future, although again it likely won't be anytime soon with the way things are going. But sometime down the line that door still remains open according to Jon Moxley under the right circumstances. We now have a very big update regarding Bray Wyatt's future following his unfortunate firing from WWE, and it surprisingly has nothing to do with wrestling at all. According to one of our sources, Bray Wyatt is set to star in an upcoming horror movie, and that filming for this movie starring Bray Wyatt is set to begin at the end of this month in Tennessee. Now this movie with Bray Wyatt has not officially been announced yet, and the plot or premise of the movie is still being kept under wraps at the moment. But apparently this will be a very exciting and new project for Bray Wyatt, and it was clarified that nothing related to The Fiend or Bray Wyatt characters will be involved in this movie. Regardless, this is massive news for Bray Wyatt's fans, although not the news of Bray Wyatt joining AEW like it had previously been rumored. We now have some pretty upsetting news to share regarding Brock Lesnar's status in WWE in regards to the plans Vince McMahon has in place for the babyface Brock Lesnar during this latest run, and how long Brock is even going to be in WWE for. As many of you are likely aware, when Brock Lesnar returned to WWE earlier this year, he signed a part-time contract with the company like usual, although it has now been revealed that this is actually a very short contract that Brock Lesnar has reportedly signed with WWE, which is the beginning of this upsetting news, with one backstage report indicating that Brock Lesnar is signed to WWE for about a year or 6 to 8 matches, meaning that Brock Lesnar will likely finish off this latest run in WWE next year in 2022. Now the second bit of the unfortunate news when it comes to Brock is the fact that while Vince McMahon is now planning to run back the Universal Championship match between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 38, Vince apparently has no plans of putting the Universal title on Brock Lesnar at any point during this storyline, meaning that Brock Lesnar is simply being utilized during this return to put over Roman Reigns, with Vince reportedly feeling like Brock Lesnar is almost done with wrestling entirely and needs to put a full-time star like Roman Reigns over before leaving WWE for good. Hence why the future of Brock Lesnar in WWE is fairly bleak, and a big title run does not seem to be in the cards, unfortunately.